There we go. Okay, yeah, because I think, Lily, you said the answer key just had this. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I would want it written like that. Actually worked out.
Mm-hmm. And on the test, will you count it off if we put like a different decimal for the graph, like number 12 on the review?
No, I'll accept a range of answers. So I don't know which ones have decimals, but like if I put 1.5 on the answer key and you put 1.4 or 1.3, that would be okay. I would accept a range of values.
Okay. Miss McKinley,
Uh-huh.
are you just like letting us ask you questions to work out?
Yeah.
Okay, so number 13, I got that one wrong, and I don't really know what I did wrong.
Okay, let's see. That was, did you get my text though that the answer key was wrong?
No. Well,
Okay.
I got a text, but I thought it was just about this.
I sent it, let me check. I sent it on yesterday afternoon. So 13, the answer should be 5x to the 13th power.
Okay, that's what I got.
Okay. Do you want me to work it out or?
I'm good. I think I understand. I was just a little bit confused on why I got that one wrong.
Yeah, so this one's, that's the answer. I think the answer key said something else, but.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then the other one that was wrong that I sent out on Remind was 9b. This should be all real numbers, or you could have said negative infinity to positive infinity for the range, because this arrow is pointing down. So technically it's starting at negative infinity and then all the way up to positive infinity.
That makes sense. Please do 10H.
Wait, will you say that again?
Can you please do 10H? Like I got it wrong.
10h. Okay. So if f of x equals -1, then x equals. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line at -1 and then include where it touches intersects at -1. So it would be at the point, I can't really tell what that is, like 3.2 or something like that. 3.4. I would accept something around that. Let's just say 3.3, which is the one that's right here. And then for this range of values, you can write it as an inequality, or you could write it as, like, now that we know interval notation, sometimes it's easier to write it like that. So if I said -2 to 1 bracket, or I'm sorry, -1, you could write it like that. I'm not sure how the answer key writes it. Do they write it, does it write it in interval notation, or how does it represent this on the answer key?
It's -2 is smaller than x, and then it's like that.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I would take either one. I think just from what I've noticed, interval notation is usually a little easier, and y'all are probably more comfortable with that. So I would take either one of those, but if it's a horizontal line that is constant for a little while, then you're going to want to represent it as a range of values. Like it's not just at that one point, it's also at this horizontal line from -2 to -1.
Do we have to put it like that, or why can't we just do -2 and -1?
Like separately?
Yeah.
So did you just put -2, like comma -2, comma -1, like that?
Yeah.
So the reason why you can't do that is because
It's
it
on
would,
the same line.
it would be saying that those are isolated points.
Oh, okay.
So it would be saying like, I have a point here and here, but I actually have this whole range of values. Like it's anything between -2 and -1.
I see.
Yeah, so that's why you can't do that.
And then on number 2, the interval range, I think it's a -2.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. Oops, I went too far. I think we talked about that right before you got on. But yeah, it should be -2 instead of +2.
Oh,
And when do we use the U thing for?
Use the U thing whenever you have multiple intervals. So
How does it look like?
I'm trying to see one where I don't think there is one on 1, 2, or 3. Let me go back up to 1.4
Okay.
and do one here. So, okay, here's one. So like number 5 on the 1.4 homework, if I were doing the domain and I wanted to write it in interval notation, it would be parenthesis negative infinity, and then it would stop at 0, and there would be a bracket. Then I would put a U, and that's like the same thing as saying or.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would start up again at 1, and then I would stop again at 4, bracket. So different teachers teach it different ways. The U is not required. So let's say you forgot to put it and you just put these 2 intervals. I would not count it wrong.
Okay.
But on, I'm pretty sure on the SAT and ACT, if there are any questions like this, then it would have a U in between. So that's why I teach it.
Okay. Oh, and then I'm seeing the fraction, the function ones. So do we just put a pencil like this way and then see if any touches the point?
Yeah, like the vertical line test or horizontal. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question on the 1.1 to 1.3 review sheet.
Okay. I don't think I have that pulled up. Let me pull it up really quickly. And what number?
12. 12 and 13, I'm not really sure how to do. I think I just like.
Okay, let me pull those up really quickly. You said it was like the practice 1.1?
Yeah, is the review. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can send it really quickly. There's my dog lady. She sees someone outside. Okay, here we go. Let me share this screen. Okay, can you see it now? What questions or what numbers, what were they?
12 and 13. It's like the last question.
Okay. So it says, let h of x equal x squared minus 2 and p of x represent the graph below. Find the value of each of the following. And then it has p of h of 0. So with these, you're working inside to outside. So I need to figure out what h of 0 is first. So I'm going to come over here and plug in 0 for x, which would end up just being 0 minus 2. And that would give me negative 2. So I'm going to replace h of 0 with negative 2. And then I'm going to go to my graph, which is p of h. And I need to go to negative 2. And then that on the graph represents, or the ordered pair would be negative 2, comma 3. So my answer would be 3.
Oh, okay. I had no idea how to do that. Okay.
Because one of them is a function and then one of them is a graph. So it's like we're combining both of, normally we've just looked at it as like this is the equation half and then this is the graph, but we haven't ever combined them. So for 13, I would do the same thing, where I would now go to p of 2 on the graph first, which is 3. And then now I'm going to plug in 3 into my equation. So 3 squared minus 2, which would give me 7.
Okay. Okay.
Good question.
Thank you.
Miss McKinley,
Uh-huh.
like if it gives something like this, how do you know, like, whether if it's x or y, and how do you know if it's vertical or horizontal?
Like, how do you know to give x values there?
Yeah.
Because it is, so it's giving you a number in parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
And so the number that is in parentheses represents your x value. So the number that you report is your y value. Because
So for like number
x
13.
equals y is essentially what you're doing. So,
Oh, okay.
so if a number is here, then I'm going to go to that number on my x-axis and then move up or down and report, or my answer on the other side of the equal sign is the y.
Okay.
But if it's the other way around, like they give you this number and you're searching for x, that's when you have to put like a horizontal line and see where it intersects. Like what x values does it intersect?
Okay. Oh, on the review,
Mm-hmm.
how do you get 9b all real numbers?
9b.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how did I get that?
Yeah.
Because this arrow right here is pointing down. So imagine it like went on forever. It's going down and to the right. So it's technically starting at negative infinity and going all the way to positive infinity. And I don't have to stop. I don't have to stop here or here because there's a gap. I mean, it's defined in those areas as well. So
Okay.
I never need to stop.
Okay.
Miss McKinley.
Uh-huh.
So for questions like in number 11, on E,
Mm-hmm.
whenever it has like a negative sign, so whenever like K has negative x squared or minus x squared, is that negative like with the x, or is that the minus sign that just doesn't go with the x?
No, it's not with the x. So you're just replacing x with the number. So I would write it like 4 parenthesis 1 minus parenthesis 1 squared. So the minus sign is outside of the parenthesis.
Okay.
So then I would evaluate both of these, and then that would give me 3. And then I would find whatever f of 3 was. But unless this number right here is a negative number, you're not putting the negative sign in the parentheses.
Okay. So I thought it was like, since you squared it, it becomes a positive.
That would only be if, let me see if I can think of an example. Like if I said k of -1,
Mhm.
then, and let's say this were plus, then, and I were plugging in, I would put -1 in parentheses, like that. Or even if it stayed minus, it would still look like that. So the only thing that goes in parentheses is the number that's right here. Everything else that's part of the equation stays where it is. The only thing you're doing is replacing the actual x itself, but not any signs on the outside of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you please do 17B? I got the right answer, but I don't think I did it the same way it said on the review. So I want to know how you did it.
Okay, suppose the student scored 87, 95, 85. What will the student need to make to end up with an average of 90? So how I would solve this, and it might be the same way that's on the key, is I would try to set it up where X is considered the fourth test. And so I have an 87, I have a 95, I have an 85, and then I also have this mysterious fourth test. I don't know what I made. And so if I added all of those up and I divided by 4, then that would get me 90, an average of 90. And so this is also how you can solve, like if you are at the end of the semester and you're like, what do I need to make on my last test to make an A for the quarter or something like that. So then from there, I'm gonna solve for X. And that means you can multiply each side by 4. And I don't know what you get on the left side when you add these up.
But do you multiply those by 4?
No, because there's a 4 on the bottom. So when I multiply the left side by 4, what happens is this 4 and this 4, it's like saying 4 over 1.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And then I don't know what happens when you add these up, but you get some number plus X, and then you subtract that, whatever that is.
Okay. And then that's your answer?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I got that answer. I just couldn't figure out how to do it the way the review said.
How did you do it?
Well, I tried doing it that way, and then I thought 95 and 85 round out to 90, or average out to 90. So then I just have 87. So I'd have to make a 93 to get a 90.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I just
Yeah, you can do it that way. Is like if you're thinking about the differences between the, like how far apart they are from 90 and what's going to balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that works too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, but in case they were harder numbers to.
Yeah. You never know. Okay, are there other questions?
For 10H, I got one of the answers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get the other part of it.
You got the 3.3?
Actually,
3.4 or something like that.
Okay, well, so I understand how you got the 3.3, and then is the other one because it's a line and it goes further?
Yeah, it's like this, it represents this entire horizontal line from -2 to -1. So I was saying, I think I said this earlier, but you can write it in either like interval notation or inequality notation. I would accept either one. And I feel like more people like the interval notation better, but it's really just your preference.
Yeah, I just got in the -1 part of it.
Oh,
And
okay.
for G, I got 1, but I didn't get the other answer, which was 2.7. How did you get 2.7?
So it's this horizontal line right here
Uh-huh.
for G, and it crosses my function here and here. So that's how I got the 2.7.
Okay.
'Cause
Oh,
It hits my function twice. So
okay.
it's there and there.
That makes sense. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so with like questions like G and H, you're gonna draw a horizontal line at that number and then highlight where it touches your graph.
Okay.
Miss McKinley, do I have to put like the sign and send in chat for like 2.7 and 3.2?
No, what that means is Roger just asked if you have to do like approximately that, like a little squiggly, and the answer is no. That word means approximately. But if you choose a number and stick with it, I told you guys I'm going to accept a range of values. So if you just put 1 or if you just put 2.7, you don't have to put that little squiggly line.
Okay. And then on 11, like the powers and the parentheses kind of messes me up because I don't know when to put the power on the outside of the parentheses and when to put it inside.
For questions like 11, where you're doing the composition of functions, the squared is always going to go on the outside of the parentheses.
Okay.
Because you're just replacing the x. You're not replacing any other part of the equation. So, like, is there one, Roger, that you maybe struggled with that you want to go through?
So like B and C. So C you just did it and the powers are outside of the parentheses.
Uh-huh.
And B I did G parentheses 3x squared and then parentheses.
Yeah, so this would be g of h of x. So I'm gonna do g of 3x squared, which would be 4 minus 6. So I'm taking this x. I guess I see what you're asking. It's kind of confusing because it's like a function inside another one.
Yeah.
But I'm taking this x and I'm replacing it with this 3x squared. So whatever I'm replacing it with goes inside the parentheses. So I guess in this scenario, the x squared does go inside the parentheses, but you have to look at the original problem. So there's no x squared here on that, like on g of x.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I'm just replacing the x, but like on k of x, there is an x squared. So if I were plugging something into k, I would only be plugging it into x.
Oh, okay. I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For F or 10F,
Uh-huh.
that one does not exist.
I think on that one, does it say like -6 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So on something like this, it's arrows pointing down, so you can technically estimate what it would approximately be, but if you didn't know that, then I would also accept does not exist.
Okay. And then for the A and B, the domain, the range, were you asking for just like so like for B is y is less than 3, not the like the bracket?
For these, you could have chosen whichever one you wanted to. The answer key, I think I guess if you're saying it said y is less than or equal to 3, then it did the inequality notation, but the interval notation would have been -infinity to 3.
Okay.
So if it doesn't specify, like if it just says find domain and range, but there's not like a blank that says inequality or interval. You can choose whichever one you want.
Okay, thank you.
That would have been for range. Sorry, I wrote it under domain,
Oh, you're good.
realized.
So McKinley, is there anything like that might be easily missed on the test?
Is there anything that might be easily missed on the test?
Like anything tricky or
I really don't think so, but I'm feeling like, I mean, how comfortable were you guys with the critical thinking stuff? Like now that you've seen it and gone over it.
that one was okay. It's just the number 5 that was kind of confusing.
Yeah, so there might be a question that's kind of like 5B on there.
Okay.
So do we want to maybe try one like that and see? I think
Sure.
the rest of it is like pretty straightforward. I mean, some of the exponent rules, like going over the quiz 1.1, just
Mhm.
making sure you're comfortable with exponent rules. Some people might still find that a little bit tricky. And so have you guys gone through that practice test, the PowerPoint? I would,
Yeah.
if
Is that-
I were, do what, Davey?
Is that the one that's called the game?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I saw that. I haven't done it, but I saw that it was on campus.
I would do that and just make sure you're good with the exponent rules. Or like because I mean, a lot of you did well on the quiz, but still that's something you want to keep refreshing. So I think the trickiest part of the test would be the exponent rules, and then something like on the critical thinking, like solving for a variable. So for instance, let's just try a practice one really quickly. If I said, let me just erase some of this.
Where was the 1.3 practice? Like the 1.1 through 1.3?
Where was that?
Yeah.
On Canvas, like I think it's just, I don't think it's under any tabs or anything. I think it's just under module 1.
Um,
Okay, so if I said B equals AX plus Y squared plus A pi. And then I said solve for A. So y'all try that really quickly. And think about what we did on 5B.
Miss McKinley.
Uh-huh.
So besides the critical thinking, which you said is like 10% of the test,
Mhm.
how close is the test to the test review? Like,
To the test review.
yeah.
I mean, it's not identical, but like I would definitely say don't just study the review. It's
Okay.
going to have similar questions, but if that's the only thing you study, I don't think you would do well.
So should I do that and then like homeworks?
Yeah, I would make sure you know how to do every problem on the homework. every problem on the quiz. Maybe something extra, you could just run through that practice test, those 20 problems. I think that's a really good review too. And just make sure, like, I would say choose, you know, the hardest 3 problems from every section and just make sure you can do those without looking at anything.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for this one,
Can I try my answer?
can you try and answer? Well, I don't know if your answer's right because I haven't done it yet.
Okay. I got B.
I'm gonna write it out to the side. So tell me
Okay.
what you got and we'll see if it's right.
B over x plus pi plus y squared.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if you're right. So whenever I'm solving for A, I usually highlight or circle the letter that I'm solving for. So I'm solving for A, I'm gonna circle all of my A's. And when you have a question like this, it's the same 3 steps every single time. And I'm telling you, like, you're gonna see these problems for the rest of the year. So the quicker you learn these steps, I think the better off you're gonna be. So the first step is get the A's on one side or whatever you're solving for, and everything else on the other side. So I have my A's, they're already on the same side, but I do have this y squared and I don't want it with the A's. I want it on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it, which would give me b minus y squared equals ax plus a pi. So that was step number 1. Step number 2 is you're gonna factor out the a. So that's kind of what we did on 5B. We factored it out because I have an a here and an a here. So I can rewrite this right side as a parenthesis x plus pi. And I know that I did it right because if I imagined redistributing it back out, it would be right back to where I started. So I can kind of mentally check myself, did I do it correctly? And I still have this b minus y squared on the left. I haven't touched that. And then the final step is divide by stuff in parentheses. And then you're done in all caps. Don't touch anything else, leave it be. So if I divide by the stuff in parentheses, then I'm just left with the a on the right side, which is what I was trying to solve for. And then on the left, which I guess you could switch it around, but my final answer would be a equals b minus y squared over x plus pi. So Roger, you're super close with this, but I think you moved the y squared over after the fact, but I needed to do it at the front, at the beginning, because if my y squared were still over here, then I wouldn't be able to factor out an a because this doesn't have an a with it. The only time you can factor something out is if everything on that side contains that variable. So if I go ahead and move it to the left, now I can factor out an a because both terms have it. But I couldn't factor out the a in this step because I needed to move that y squared first.
Okay.
And then this would be my final answer. So these 3 steps will get you the answer 100% of the time. And you will just replace a with whatever variable you're solving for.
Okay.
Wait, so is x plus pi? Oh, because they weren't being multiplied by each other in the beginning.
Yes, right. They weren't multiplied by each other.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you guys have other questions?
Let me see.
Roger's like, I think so, maybe. Honestly, I don't think this test is very difficult. It's just the first one, so you don't know what to expect, but I would say it's very similar to your notes and your homework. Something like this is probably going to be the hardest thing you'll see, but just make sure with things from 1.1, like the exponent rules, that you go slow and you are careful, especially with the negative exponents. And because I feel like that's just where you can easily make a mistake, is something like that.
Oh, Miss McKinley,
Uh-huh.
would you please do 12D?
Is this on the review?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm gonna have to erase all of this. Let me see. I just got a new app called Notability, and instead of the other one I was using, and I think I like it better, but it doesn't have like the option to create a blank page, I don't think, which I wish it had that option. Okay, 12B.
Or D.
Oh, 12D, okay. F of G of 1. So for the graph, I'm gonna go to G of 1. Whoa, what happened? I'm gonna go to G of 1 first, which is right here at -3. And then, so now I've replaced G of 1 with -3, then I'm gonna go to -3 and up to 4. So my final answer would be positive. Well, I guess that's like 4 point something.
Oh, I was looking at.
4.5-ish.
Okay.
I would probably accept anything from like 4.1 to 4.8. So something like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any last questions? I think y'all are going to do great. I think y'all are prepared. Okay, I'm going to post this video. I mean, you guys won't need to watch the video, but I'll post it on Canvas if anybody was asking about it. And then I'll be here, or I'll be at school tomorrow at 7. So if you're maybe like tonight working through the practice test or something on Canvas and you get stuck on one, I'll be here. So 7 to 8:30 tomorrow. And then we'll start the test right when the bell rings. You'll
You
have
say from 7 to 8:30?
yeah. Might be like 7:05, but my goal is to be there by 7.
We have the whole class for the test, right?
Yeah, you'll have the whole class.
Okay, thank you.
Can
Yeah.
we use calculators?
No. You don't need a calculator.
That's good, because calculators makes me want to just do more work.
Okay. Then I'll never let you use a calculator. All right. Well, you guys enjoy your evening. Don't work too hard. Don't stay up all night. Get a good night's sleep. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.